Yeah, come on. Yeah. Ooh, hey. There you go. Oh, yeah, there he is. Watch out now. That's a bad man right there. You gotta watch out for old Slick, boy. That's Return of the Mac right there. He back for another edition of the Dog Trap. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is the Dom Trap, and welcome. I am your host, your creator, your director, your editor in chief, your everything, you're all the above for this podcast. Um, I'm back. It's good to be back. I know it's been a little while, but it's not too much to talk about. So I figure I'll talk about what I can while I can. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope this whole COVID-19 situation um, doesn't have everyone down. I hope that some of you are in good spirits, and if you are not, I guess listen to this podcast, and that should uplift you. Um, I do want to, pay my condolences to everyone that's been affected by this whole thing, whether it's death or it's just sickness overall. I just do want to let everyone know that I'm praying for them, praying for you all safety and health. Most importantly, because honestly, this whole thing's kind of been a little bit of a mess. I know South Carolina right now is under quote unquote lockdown, but um, people are still going to do what people do. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Hopefully, you all are taking care of yourselves and just basically doing what needs to be done, essentially. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. I know it's a very sensitive situation right now, but I do just want to talk about how I figured out that this thing was going to be bigger than what it was initially, you know, put out to be. So I went to the movies last, and it was pretty hilarious because I actually was on Twitter and I saw that Fast 9 was going to be delayed until next year. And I told the person working at concessions at the movie theater that it was going to be delayed, and she was kind of shocked. And I was like, "Yeah, um, I guess this whole thing is a big deal now." She goes, "Yeah, I guess so." And she just had this like really shocked look on her face. So she turned around and she told her manager, and the manager was kind of upset for a little while. You could just kind of tell that I guess they were glad that they weren't going to have to deal with the whole thing. I think that they knew that it was going to be a big deal, but didn't know exactly how the theaters were going to handle it. Really, theaters and all kind of other venues where a lot of people go. So I went last to go see The Way Back, which is a great movie, by the way, with Ben Affleck. He plays a basketball coach for a mostly African American team. Um, Great movie. Check it out. Check it out. I give it a 4 out of 5. I went in thinking that it was going to be a standard old run of the mill sports movie where the coach is doing bad and his family doesn't care about him, and then he finds his number one love, which is basketball, and he gets his team and they win the championship and hoo-hoo-rah, Coach Carter and all this other stuff. But that really wasn't the case. Much better movie than I was anticipating, to be honest. Ben Affleck killed it. The supporting cast killed it. The storyline was there. The soundtrack was good. Well, Ben Affleck's character, he's an alcoholic, so you see some scenes of him just getting blacked out drunk and doing things that he regrets. There's actually a scene in the movie where I didn't really believe that that would be a thing, but it was a thing, and it was really a joy to see, even though in real life, anyone that they know would have hated to be in that situation or hated to know someone that's been in that situation. So it was kind of realistic, very realistic to be honest. But The Way Back, 4 to 5, go check it out. So then, while I was actually watching the movie, I got an email from Regal saying that they're going to ensure that their employees are going to be taking care of everything as far as their hygiene, like washing their hands all the time, and there's going to be hand sanitizer everywhere, and pretty much just saying that, hey, we're going to be super duper clean. So I got that email. When I left the movie, I went to go talk to the lady at concessions again and said, hey, I got this email. She's like, yeah, we just got an email too about it, and I guess that's just going to start sometime next week. So in my head, I'm like, shouldn't this be starting as soon as possible? Like now? But apparently not. So wasn't a week later, maybe 2 days later, I got an email saying that all of their theaters were going to be temporarily closing until this whole thing is sorted out. So that's when I just sat down and said, oh man, we are about to see a lot more delays. And then it wasn't long till I heard that A Quiet Place 2 was going to be delayed, and that one hurt because I'm a big fan of the first A Quiet Place movie. And seeing that get delayed, I just knew that basically everything else would be delayed as well. But one thing that did not get delayed was Onward, and that movie is terrible. Well, I mean, it's not really terrible. It's really not my cup of tea. I thought it would be because it's Disney Pixar, and it's a movie about some, I guess you can call them orcs, I think they are. And they're two younger brothers, well, they're two brothers. There's an older brother who's voiced by Chris Pratt, and the younger brother who's voiced by your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man at the moment. And basically, they're trying to cast a spell that's going to bring their father back from the dead. Not really knowing exactly how it's going to work or anything. They just do it. The younger brother actually has the power to do it, so he does it by accident. And there's this gem that they used, and the gem breaks, and the father's brought back, but only his lower half. So now their next quest is to find the other gem so that they can bring their father back completely, even though it's just going to be for quote unquote 24 hours from evening to evening, I believe it said. And the movie just didn't hit me the way I thought it would. Like, I was really surprised because usually Disney Pixar movies are really good. This one, however, was a stinker. And I'd almost say it's as bad as The Good Dinosaur. As much as I dislike that movie, I think that they're basically on the same level. Like, I feel like there wasn't enough heart put into the story. I feel like there was more heart put into the visual effects and the CGI and everything that they just forgot to make the story good. So there's basically them going on the quest to find the gem. They run into police. They run into pixies. It's just an okay movie at best. It's nothing to run home about. Yeah, so that was Onward. It was really shocking to see that the movie wasn't good. I was really surprised, but here we are. I think it's on Disney Plus now. If you want to check it out, I say check it out at your own risk. Because just like Frozen 2, it was really just a mid-movie. And that's something that I can't really say about The Invisible Man, which is a really good movie in my opinion. A really good horror movie, matter of fact. And those don't really come by too often. So I went into it with kind of low expectations. Lee Whannell is the director, and he also directed the Saw movies. And as most of us know, the Saw movies got staler and staler as time went on. So I was like, okay, does this man still have it in him to make a good movie or no? He also directed the Insidious movies, and that was something else I was kind of worried about because as Insidious went on, they just kind of got worse and worse. But then again, I thought about his one-off movies, kind of like Dead Silence with the puppets and everything, and I said, oh, okay, maybe he can actually do something with this. So it was really good to see him take the concept of the Invisible Man and flip it on its head and make something like this. It's really, really great. So it's a sci-fi horror movie. If you didn't know, it's about a character who's played by Elizabeth Moss. She's basically the girlfriend of a huge tech mogul, and he's basically crazy. He keeps her inside. He doesn't let her go anywhere. He chooses what she eats. He basically forced a baby onto her, and it's really wild. So she basically escapes by overdosing him with medicine to make him sleep for longer than he should, just so she could try to escape. And she escapes narrowly. Like, she has her sister come and pick her up, and the Adrian, who is the tech mogul, he basically comes to the car, punches the window through, trying to get her to come back because he needs her to be controlled by him. So she ends up getting away. She moves in with a childhood friend who's played by Aldous Hodge. He's actually a cop in this movie, a police detective. And he basically watches over her. She doesn't like going outside because she feels like she's always being watched. So sometime later, it comes out that Adrian has been, well, he's dead, and they think that it was a suicide. There's a photo of him on the ground with blood leaking from him, and so she gets a sense of release, like, okay, this crutch is off of me. I can actually do things now. I can actually go outside and check the mail for once. And his brother, who handled, well, I guess handles his financials, calls her in to let her know that she's going to get uh, a good bit of money for his death, basically. I want to say it was $5 million that she's going to get because of his suicide. So she's like, okay, cool. She goes to James and says, hey, I'm going to get your daughter through college. You don't have to worry about anything. And that's basically it. So eventually, she gets haunted by what she thinks is him being invisible. And that's where the story takes a turn because nobody believes her. So there's one moment where she's asleep and she thinks that she sees someone sitting in a chair, and that person gets up. So she gets, well, I think he actually pulled the cover off of her. And, well, the entity pulled the cover off of her. And she's pulling the cover back to the bed, and she sees like footsteps on it. And then at this point, James and his daughter, they're thinking that she's basically a psychopath. So they kind of treat her with caution. There's another event that happens, and he gets really, really upset with her, and they think that she's crazy. Eventually, she does something and ends up going, well, something happens. A big moment happens that's really surprising, and she gets sent to a mental hospital, and it's really cool. It's a really good watch. I give The Invisible Man a 4 out of 5 as well. Um, just because I really enjoyed it. It was a really good surprise. I didn't think that things were going to happen the way that they did in the movie. Um, I definitely check it out again, and I recommend it to anyone that's a sci-fi fan and a horror fan. So, next, I do want to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. I did see Sonic. I enjoyed the Sonic movie, surprisingly. It wasn't necessarily my favorite movie of the year. It was basically a popcorn movie. You go in, you eat popcorn, you watch the movie, and that should be it. It shouldn't be that big of a deal as far as anything else goes. But what I really enjoyed about this movie is that the people that were behind the CGI effects, they actually took the time to go back and fix him, basically, because they released the first trailer. He looked terrible, and they went back and they fixed him and basically just made everything better. So it was good to see them actually try, and they actually listened to the fans to make this film a better film than what it was initially going to be, because at first it was looking terrible. Like, it really looked bad. It was looking like a movie that you would see and never think about again, but they actually went back, they tried, they spruced the movie up. There's an interracial couple in the movie, so that relates to today's society, I guess you could say. It was really an aware movie. It was more aware than what I thought it was going to be. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So if I had to give Sonic a rating, I'd say it's a 3.5 out of 5, just because they tried. And it's good to see movie studios and, basically everyone tried to make a good movie given the material that you have. Because for the past few years, Sonic has been a character, but he hasn't been a necessarily loved character because the games have been terrible. So to see this movie, and it really brought me back to my childhood. Like, I believe my first few actual video games were Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis. So I was a good little kid watching this movie at certain parts, like, oh, I understand that reference, or look at that, or listen to that music in the background. I was really a nerd for those type of things in those moments. So it was good to see Sonic actually be a good movie. And I think right now I'm going on a trend of talking about one good movie and then one okay or kind of mediocre movie. And the next movie I'm going to be discussing is going to be the Harley Quinn movie, Birds of Prey. And I'm not going to say the long title because that really doesn't matter anymore. So Harley Quinn Birds of Prey is a movie based in the DCEU, and it's it's just okay. Like it's not too much I can say about how good it was because I feel like they knew that there wasn't too much they could do to this movie to make it extraordinary or to make it groundbreaking as far as DC movies or movies in general. So they just had to conjure up something based off of Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad movie and basically continue her story, which is fine, but it's not something that's like I said groundbreaking. Like it's just there to be there, and it's basically Harley Quinn following a breakup after Joker broke up with her, and it's not Joker from the 2019 movie Joker. It's Joker from the 2016 Suicide Squad Joker movie Joker, and it's just that he breaks up with her, and she's basically going to be going around and doing Harley Quinn type things, and it just it's just a movie. And I know a lot of people thought that it was going to be a lot better than what it was. Me personally, I thought it was going to be something because it had the color palette, which is all the bright green, blue, pink, and red colors, which I'm a big fan of. And I just thought that since she was getting her own movie and Margot Robbie, who is the actress for Harley Quinn, is such a big Harley Quinn enthusiast, I thought that she would do what it needed to be done with this movie and make it great. But apparently I was wrong, and they tried. I see where they tried. The soundtrack was good. The cinematography was okay. Yeah, I think it just fell on the characters. There were a lot of bland characters in this movie, such as the cop whose name is Officer Montoya. Her story was just not there. It didn't hit any emotional beats. She was basically just a cop compared to Harley Quinn, who's quote unquote a supervillain. And Black Canary also makes an appearance in the movie, and she's played by Journey Smollett, Juicy Smollett's sister, even though that's the terrible way to put them. But yeah, Journey Smollett, she did a fine job with what she had. The material just wasn't there. You can tell that it wasn't. The action scenes were okay. The villain, who is played by Ewan McGregor, was possibly the best part of the movie. He was weird, and I think that's what made him great. One thing that I really do feel that they should have just left alone was making his character gay. And my reasoning behind that is because they made him gay but didn't want you to think that he was gay. For example, I think they just tried to do it to get past the Chinese censors. They know that people are sensitive to those kind of things, so they made him gay, but they didn't really show it, if you know what I mean. There were just scenes where him and another character would do a few things and act a certain way, but you wouldn't really think about it if you didn't know that these characters were in a relationship or had feelings for each other. And I really just ended up scratching my head because I'm like, if you're going to do it, then just do it. Don't be afraid. Just go all the way. And that really hindered the movie because it just made everything else weird and brought the movie down a few notches because it's like they really couldn't commit to anything. Like the action scenes were there, but they couldn't really commit to it. The characters would do something, but they just didn't really commit to it. It was just a bunch of filler, it seemed like. I feel like the movie didn't start until an hour and a half in, and that's when the movie ended almost. Like, for example, it's called Birds of Prey, but you see the other characters doing things, but they don't really meet up until the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie. Then there's a fight scene, and someone dies, and that's the end of the movie, basically. And I just thought that it was whack, to be honest, in layman's terms. Like, it was just pretty whack to me, and I really wasn't a huge fan of the way it ended. It was really just okay at best. And I understand that a lot of people didn't like it. I understand why they didn't like it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, like I mentioned previously. And hopefully DC can just do better at making movies, whether it's animated or live action or whatever. I just want DC to thrive because Marvel's been killing them. Even though Marvel has their own delays coming up ahead with this whole COVID-19 situation or coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. I just feel like DC needs They need to take a step back, look at what they've done, and know not to do that ever again, because none of it's worked. I mean, Harley Quinn didn't work, Suicide Squad didn't work, Batman versus Superman didn't work, Justice League didn't work. I don't care how many times you tell me it worked. Justice League did not work, and it's just they just need to learn from their own mistakes, but instead they're learning from their mistakes and then they're doing it again, basically. Um, Whatever was wrong with Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn, there's something in common with both of them. And I feel like if you're going to try to outdo someone, that's not the way to do it. I think to outdo someone, you have to learn from your mistakes as well as their mistakes also. Whatever Marvel did wrong, I think DC should take into account and say, hey, they messed that up. We can do that better. Or we can not do that and just make a better movie overall. Because it's not like DC doesn't have the heroes or the characters or anything. They just fumble the bag or fumble the ball every time. Every single time. But I'm not going to get into my big Marvel versus DC movie debate today. I'm going to leave that for another day. I really do want to talk about Tiger King. I really want to know who's saying free Joe Exotic and who's not saying free Joe Exotic. Everyone on that show is insane except for one person, and those of you who've seen the show know exactly who I'm talking about. And I feel like everyone on that show is just, they're nuts. Like, there's a bunch of nuts on that show. And I think that's why people love it. The show has basically been memed to death over the past week, which I find hilarious. Because when I first watched it, not many people were talking about it at all. But now it's all everyone's talking about. And I'm glad there's going to be another episode. I'm hoping that it's basically just going to be a catch-up episode ever since it ended filming. So there we go. If you haven't watched the show, I say stop running from the show. It's not going to hurt you or kill you. It's just a show to watch. I know I talked to a few people and they're like, oh, I'm not going to watch it, but just do it. I mean, it's not going to hurt you in any type of way. Real quick, everyone, I'm going to have a special guest. I want you to give it up for Greg. Just a buddy of mine. He's going to talk about Tiger King for a second. Can you hear me, man? All right, let's go ahead and get it over with. Go ahead and say what you got to say.
What do you mean?
Get your thoughts off, Bucky.
About Tiger King?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to talk about a specific person? Do you like where you want to go?
Just your thoughts on the whole thing, like where you think the people are headed and what you think about what happened.
Well, the first thing I tell you is that bitch.
Don't do that.
Carol Baskin did it. Nah. But all seriousness, bro. Like it's dope. I rock with Tiger King. Tiger King was hard. I've never been to Myrtle Beach Safari. Driven past it like a million times, but for us as locals, it ain't all that it's like cracked up to be. I mean,
right. It's just something that's there, and now that this has happened, it's just a crime scene basically.
Yeah, for the most part, like it makes sense. Like the fact that they locked up Joe Exotic for killing baby tigers. I mean, if we keep it G, like I know too many people that done had to off like baby puppies because they were like sick or suffering. And
Right.
you just had to go ahead and get rid of them. I know too many people that done did that.
Yeah.
Like, if you go in my backyard, like it's a dog graveyard back there because I done had buku dogs over the years.
R.I.P. to the dogs.
That's for real. Like, I mean, that's just what it is. It ain't like I killed the dogs on purpose or nothing. It's
Right.
Just,
You got to do something with them. Like.
There you go. Like it's a dog graveyard. But
Right.
I mean, I get it. It's different. Like a pit bull puppy. Like the way my homies sell pit bull puppies and all that, you know, on like a good day,
Yeah.
you might get like $200 or $300 out of them, maybe more in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Get a good bloodline, but you start talking about tigers, $5 bands for a baby tiger or a cub. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. And like they said in the show, like it's just crazy how there are more tigers in cages than there are out in the wild.
Yo, that's crazy, dog. But you remember we talked about that moment
Yeah.
when when the chimps finally got a chance to
Yeah,
actually embrace each other.
when he said that they were in cages for what, 10 years,
Yeah,
and
10
they
years
never
and
had the actual they were never able to actually touch each other or have any contact with each other. But then once they got sent to the zoo, they were in the same cage and they just hugged each other once they got in there.
come on, man.
And
That's
what did he
crazy.
say? He said, "How dare I strip them of that time?" Something he said.
For 10 whole years. Now, in that regard, yeah, he he showed he showed a side as far as the whole thing being about money for him. Which
Right.
anybody if you watch the first episode, you realize Joe Exotic is about his bread. Even though
Exactly.
he messed up a lot of it, but he
I mean,
about
the
his
man was a
bread. Like,
country artist.
there you go. Like, and Cuz got some good songs too, though.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, yeah, at first it might have been about the animals. It might have been about your brother. But there was some
Right.
time between all of that where you just said, look, this is good money I'm making. Let me keep going with this. See where it goes. And
Exactly,
he,
bro.
he, he kept going with it, and eventually it just went too far, as most things do, such as an employee losing their arm in the whole situation.
Man, Shawty was out of hospital in 7 days, man.
And said, yeah, let me go back to work.
And went back to work like ain't nothing happened.
So, all right, man, you tell me. So, say you lawyer to somebody, right?
Hmm.
Say you lose your arm because of them. What are your thoughts
Man,
towards them afterwards?
it depends on how I lost my arm and all that. Cause we might still be cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it's gonna take me a minute. Like, I mean, it really depends on the situation.
Right.
I give you a good example, right?
Uh-huh.
I got a cousin. We was at, well, I wasn't there, but they was at my aunt's house, and my cousin is like jet black, when white Wesley Snipes looking nigga, right?
Yeah.
So he was they was having a cookout, and my man was going to light the grill. Long story short, the gas was turned on. He like reached his head, like he was somewhat kind of in, like, it's, the grills that you put together and all that. You can lift the top up, put it
Yeah,
back
the
down.
little $10 Dollar General grills.
No.
Not those?
The country big grill that you can pull behind your truck and all of that.
Oh,
The wheels
yeah.
slide
The
out.
ones you take to the little swim park cookouts and stuff.
There you go. So,
Yes, sir.
cuz like one of them, and it's the gas is turned on. He stuck his head, like his face, in there to light it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
When he lit it, poof.
Face lit up.
Poof. Yeah, he Wesley Snipes black. But after this incident, my man was light. They had to take him to the burn center in Augusta and all of that.
God.
But like he a jokester. So after all this happened, he my complexion, your complexion, dumb light skin now. But he ain't stopped going to my aunt's house. Like,
Right.
accidents happen. So you know what I mean? But I don't know, bro. This tiger got a mind of his own. And
Yeah.
it took my arm. You know something, bro? Something that we ain't talked about this entire time
What's that?
since the Tiger King dropped. You remember Cat Williams' special when he said, "You know what it's like to be a nigga. Well, you know what it's like to be a tiger in a zoo. A
Yeah.
nigga in America, a tiger in a zoo, bro. This Joe Exotic had tigers in cages, and he just walked around them all day like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah, and made his money in gift shops.
Exactly. Like, you got to think about it, bro.
That man is a psychopath.
Truly.
A true psychopath. And the fact that he kept that thing running without looking around and saying, I should change this, or I should change that, or maybe I shouldn't do that. He did whatever he needed to do
Right.
to get people on his side and make his money, basically.
And the fact that the fact that he could make something shake like that first, I think it was like that first day, right?
Yeah.
No. I say the first day. It was like that last day at his first zoo when he was packing up everything and like trying to dip out, and he got trailers. He got like the Cubs being sold like in the blink of an eye. Like he doing all of this stuff, and it's like, bro, you got this kind of power to make stuff shake, but you got a Mickey Mouse operation here.
Yeah, a bunch of goofies running around.
Exactly.
Including you.
King Goofy, bro.
Goofy King, man. Goofy King.
Joe Exotic was a fun boy. Like, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
We keep it G. He was a fun boy.
You think you're having fun now?
I mean, they say he got coronavirus, so probably not now. But, you know, just for giggles and grins. I'm trying to think of it was oh gosh. It was like a saying on like a movie or some shit. No, Eddie Griffin said it. Matter of fact, happier than a I can't say the word. Happier than an F word with a bag of dicks. I believe Joe Exotic is in jail. Joe Exotic did have two husbands.
Right.
He was married before he went to jail, so you know. Yeah, that's yeah, he might be running to jail. We don't know, bro.
Right. I don't know. I just know the whole situation is nasty. Him being in jail is nasty. But then again, he might be around, you know, people just like him.
But see, that's the thing, bro. Like my homies that's done been to prison, not just been to like jail for 1 or 2 nights, but that's been to prison, because Joe Exotic is in prison. My homies that done been to prison, we don't ever talk about, you know, the gay dudes behind the wall. But we all know that it's gay people in prison. We know that.
For a fact, we know that.
But who's to say how an openly gay man is treated in prison? Do they get the
like,
same?
is it respected, or is it like, hey, gay out there is not like gay in here?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we don't know if he had to be put through some kind of test to prove how he. I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, that's weird though. Like I
ain't never really thought about it like that. Like, yeah.
I mean, I ain't got no interest in like asking my homeboys that's been to prison, like, yo, what gay dudes like, bro, in prison, like,
right.
Come on, dog. Like, I ain't trying to ask nobody that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But at the same time, it raises a question.
True that, though. True that.
It raises the question.
I know some old heads that went to prison, and you know,
they did what they had to do.
Just, no. I know one that did what he had to do.
Right.
I know another one who, you know, yeah, he got.
Yeah, I feel you.
But hey, man, you know, it's to each his own, Playboy.
Yeah. As Future once said, it's a crazy world we're living in. No, we say it's the evil world we're living in.
This guy said Future.
Hey.
Future is the same guy that just a month and a half ago said life is good.
Yeah, we ain't heard that man speak since.
150 on the ring, little bitch. That's crazy, dog. Future jinxed us all.
He did. He's a liar.
He said life was good and life ain't been shit since.
It's been terrible. It's been terrible. But I don't know. Maybe he was speaking to us from the future. We don't know. His name is Future.
We're not about to do that. Thank the Tiger King, because we're not about to do that.
So we're not getting we're not getting this Future conversation. We're not having that.
Nah, we're not about to talk about Future
All right,
and
man.
the Tiger King. Nah, that ain't about to happen.
All right.
But nah, though, for real. What's the name? Just us sitting here talking. I thought about it. I want to say when I was in middle school, it was either like an art in the yard or like a little carnival festival type, you know.
Mhm.
But I feel like Doc and done brought I think he done brought like Cubs and all of that to the school before.
Mm.
When we was in either elementary or middle school, because he been in Myrtle Beach for a minute since like the 90s, and I really want to say that I think he done been to something like at the school before.
Right.
But I wonder. I bet you I could find somebody that know his kids, because he got kids that's like our age, maybe a little older. I think I'm pretty sure I know somebody that know or went to school with one of his kids before.
Gotcha.
But that's just he's a different breed though. Like
yeah, he's a little bit of a character.
Yeah, like I think the difference between him and Joe Exotic, like Joe was a loose cannon, right?
Yeah, he was wild. When you
think about Doc though, bro, Doc kind of
he was calm when he first popped up. I was like, okay, Doc is about to be what Joe was trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned quickly that that's not what it was. Like Doc is evil too.
That
man is evil too.
Like, it's not legal to practice polygamy in South Carolina, bro.
Right, and here he is thriving doing it.
Cuz got like 7 wives.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you though, I ain't gonna say my favorite character, but like the one person that they talked about that I rocked with was old buddy that's in Miami that like he actually went to prison for selling dope and all of that, but he took his dope money and like bought tigers and all of that, like tigers and lions, all kind of animals, like had a zoo and all that. I rock with him, dog. Like that's some Scarface. That's some low key Scarface type stuff. I rock with that heavy.
Right. I feel you there, man. But who is your favorite character off of there? I know you got one. Everyone has one.
My favorite character?
Yep. Well, I shouldn't say favorite. I should say the best character. The one that was the nicest one, that didn't want any problems or didn't have any problems.
Buddy that's living in a camper now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said before I got you on, I said everyone's got a favorite character, and more than likely he's probably it. Like he was the one that was loyal until it was time to not be.
But Cuz was loyal even after he shouldn't have been, because he was the only person that went to court.
Right, in his defense. Everyone else switched sides late. Mm-hmm. Like his ex-husband John Finlay, when he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna testify against him." I'm sitting there like, "What?" Like, I get it, y'all not together anymore, but you gonna go against the man now?
My man had done got all he could get from him. He ain't care no more.
Yeah, he got his money, he got his meth, he got his wife,
got a couple trucks, some guns,
got his kid and his nasty tattoo.
Yo, the tattoo. My man needed like the dude who
he tried to cover it up too. That's the funny part about it.
I ain't gonna judge him, but not John, but the artist.
Yeah.
You went to cover up that tattoo. That's fine, but you didn't even cover it all the way up.
Mm-mm. Cause you can still see like the first little bit and then the last little bit.
Exactly.
And we got he got a bullhead or something like that.
I think so. And
that man got a bullhead on his pelvis.
You can only do what your client tell you to do or what they wanted.
Yep.
Man, but I feel as if you could provide some sort of input and be like, yo, bro, this gonna be nice. I'm gonna cover up some of it, but you still gonna have remnants of like Joe Exotic showing.
Yeah, you gonna have the past still on you.
Exactly.
And that was another funny part when he was like, "Well, who's Joe Exotic?" And he was like, what did he say? He's a nobody now.
Right. And that's how you let. That's how you know he ain't, man. You was kissing that man, bro. You was kissing that man in the mouth.
You married that man. Kissed him in the mouth.
Laid,
married him while he
laid
married
around.
another man.
Right. You laid in the bed with two other men, and now you gonna act like that ain't happening in your life? Nah,
Yeah.
bro, you did that.
So now you married with a kid, and that's just gonna make everything disappear.
Right.
It's a nasty situation out here, boy.
Nasty.
He's a nasty man.
With a daughter who's one day gonna ask him, "Daddy, who's Joe Exotic?"
He's gonna say, he's nobody, daughter.
Right.
He's nobody to me. He was never nobody.
If him and his wife,
his daughter's gonna flip on Netflix and probably disown him.
That, and then, well, even before then, if him and his wife get into it, like, you know, his daughter would be like, "Bobby, who's Joe Exotic?" He's like, he tells the daughter he's a nobody. She was like, "Oh no, baby, he was a somebody. He was somebody. Tell her who he is, John. John, tell her. Tell her who he is."
What are you gonna do? Walk away? You gonna run out the room?
Bro.
He's a nobody, I said.
Right.
Big old argument about Joe Exotic. He's locked behind bars.
I want free Joe Exotic, man.
So you screaming free Joe?
Yeah, free Joe Exotic, bro. Cal Baskin ain't in jail, so free Joe Exotic.
Carol Baskin. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
I don't see why everybody running with that right now. Like,
that's hilarious, bro. Don't call me a cool cat or a kitten.
I mean, yeah.
I'm neither. I'm not a cat. I'm not a feline. Don't call me one.
Cat or a kitten.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. This is Carol Baskin here.
She just...
And she killed her husband.
She did it, bro. She did it.
Carol Baskin killed her husband and is now a cool cat and a kitten.
That conspiracy was the dopest thing that I ever saw.
Oh, about her first husband being Jeff?
Jeff Lowe. Yeah, but the picture that I saw, bro, they resemble. Yeah. Carol Baskin's first husband and Joe resemble.
It might be that. I don't know.
I doubt it, but...
She killed her husband, so it can't be.
It was funny. Nah, she didn't kill the first husband. She just killed the second husband.
She's a murderer.
I feel sorry for his ex-wife and the kids.
Yeah, that's bad. And Travis's family. Feel bad for them too.
Yeah, especially after how Joe did his mama.
Yeah, with that second marriage he had with old buddy. What's his name again? The third husband.
I just want to know what my man was doing to get bread.
I want to know what those documents were that he hid from the cameraman.
True.
That's what I want to know.
Joe had a whole, it was a small storage room, but wasn't it a file cabinet in there?
Yep. That's exactly what it was. I just want to know what was in there. Then Big Chucky is still running around thriving after being a snitch. Man was a fed.
They ain't even the only reason that they wanted to lock him up was for simple shit. Like, it wasn't even nothing bad.
Mm-mm. Big Chucky said, "Nah, I'm gonna get famous off of this. I'm gonna get a jet ski."
Devised this whole plan to lock Joe up, and was trying to get Jeff Lowe locked too.
Mm-hmm. But I think Jeff Lowe, he gonna get his own self locked up. To be honest, like the way he runs around, the way he moves, the way he talks, he's gonna run himself into some trouble.
I'm gonna keep it G. When I first started watching like the episode where Jeff Lowe came into play, and they was like he got a Ferrari or had a Ferrari and had this Hummer.
I was a believer at first.
Jeff Lowe got the bread, and he be running around in Vegas.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's the man. He's really about to come and save this zoo.
Exactly. First thing came to my mind was like, all right, Dan Bilzerian got to know who he is. Right. So I go and Google Jeff Lowe, and I don't see nothing. So then I do, just Google his name or
Mm-hmm.
bio to see what's what. Then when I do Jeff Lowe net worth and don't nothing pop up, I'm like, all right, something ain't right.
Right. So you
Something
went
ain't
back to the
right.
show and realized that Jeff Lowe is a nobody,
Yeah, he
and
ain't
he's
hit no
broke, and
nothing.
he owes on that Ferrari.
Didn't they get it? Didn't they repossess the Ferrari or something like that?
I think so. Then
That's crazy.
he sold Rinky that Hummer.
A stolen Hummer.
Oh man, that's a sick situation. He's a sick man too. That man's nasty. Him and his wife.
I don't go so far as to say the wife. She just
Nah, she nasty too. Cause remember when they got the nanny at the end? He was like, "Yeah, I saw what she looked like, and I knew we had to have her." Bro, what?
well, the wife is just I think the wife is just young and like all right.
So you saying she young and dumb?
Time out though. Yeah, I am saying that. But
All
you
right.
ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Doc. They said all the girls that work at Doc's Myrtle Beach Safari are younger than him, or he got them when they was 17 or R. Kelly type shit.
Mm-hmm.
So he pretty much is brainwashing them. Do whatever.
It's
Do whatever I
basically a
say.
cult that he's running down there.
Right. So let's get off of him, and then let's jump to Jeff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not Jeff. Joe. Let's jump to Joe Exotic. So we talk about Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic was older than all three of his husbands at this point, and then the youngest one, he got him, like he came to Oklahoma and he basically brainwashed him into, I'll give you any and everything you want if you marry me. So he had that control over him. Then let's get off of Joe and let's jump to Jeff. We talk about Jeff. Pretty sure looking at her, you can tell she's younger than Jeff. And he probably done brainwashed her, got her doing whatever he say.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, Carol Baskin. Now, I think her new husband is older than her, but she brainwashed him.
Mm-hmm.
Or she probably told him, if you ever leave me, I'm gonna feed you to my cats.
Mm-hmm. She gonna feed him to the cool cats and kittens out there.
Come on, man, y'all need to stop.
But yeah, he's nuts too. Her new husband.
Can I curse for real? Like, can I really curse?
Let's just call the man a sucker.
He a simp.
He's old simpleton. He's stupid for sticking around for as long as he's been sticking around. And he's stupid for defending her too.
Like, come on, bro. What does his I'd love to know what his will look like.
Oh yeah.
You know, since we seen Don, what was dude
Don.
named Don?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we seen Don's, and Don Will was like in the chance that I disappear. Like,
Right. Like who thinks about that?
Exactly.
And how do you write that down? That was premeditated.
So
she did it.
Do his will say in the chance that I disappear too?
Mm-hmm.
In
the chance that I'm fed to cool cats and kittens in the back?
You really not gonna let that cool cat and kittens die?
She allergic to cats, man. I can't let that go.
Who?
Carol Baskins.
She allergic to cats?
Yeah, remember she said it. She said she's allergic.
I missed that part.
Yeah, early on she said she's allergic. She can't be around them. Yet she's made how much money off of that?
I wonder what her net worth is. Let me see something.
Go ahead and look that up. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
Baskins. Hold up. Time out.
What? You see a number?
No, I ain't see a number, but I thought I saw something. Hold on. Let me get back to what I was supposed to be doing. Carol Baskin net worth. Between $1 and $10 million.
That's a wide range. That's a wide range.
I mean, of course, she's selling cats too. Like,
I mean, they'd be better off just saying it's not available. Like, you can't tell.
Well, this says according to. Let me go back to it. It says, go back. It's unclear how much Carol is exactly worth, but according to famous data, the conservationalist the conservationist is worth between $1 million and $10 million. I mean, you know what? I need to ask my Aunt Bobby in Tampa. I'm pretty sure she knows a little bit about Carol Baskin, or somebody who knows somebody.
But another part I think is wild is when Joe said, "Yeah, she rides her bike down this path. We can hide in the bush right here and pop out and get her."
My man really wanted her, dog.
Like, man, if you want to kill me, don't catch me on my route. Man, that was a sick route. And him saying hide in the bushes and get her is even worse.
He wanted them to get her.
But homeboy said, "Nah, I'm not going to Florida. I'm going to South Carolina, and I'm going to chill."
Tell you, dog. I done seen that man somewhere before.
I know it, man. He looks way too familiar to not be known.
I'm pretty sure everybody in South Carolina thinking that same thing. Like, who is
he? Same facial structure, same bald head and everything.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. But, man, you got anything else to say about Tiger King?
That bitch, Carol Baskin.
She did it.
Yeah, she did it. She killed her husband.
Hashtag Carol Baskin did it.
This guy.
All right, man. You cool cat and kitten. I'm going to holler at you later. I'm about to go ahead and wrap this up. Anything else you need to say to the people?
Nah, Playboy, I'm good.
All right, well, here he is, Greg. He's a person of the people. You want to at least say bye?
Nah.
All right. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bro.
All right. Everybody, that was Greg. You can add him on Facebook at Gregory Santana, Twitter and Instagram at Red Game Santana if you like to. Always coming through with the opinions. Figured I'd have a guest on this episode while I was actually recording. So if anyone does listen and does want to be a guest, let me know. Find something to talk about. It can be anything at this point because not really any movies to talk about. Whether it's real life events, current events, TV shows, video games, whatever, just let me know. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up here. I do want to say once again, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm praying for everyone during these trying times. Make sure you take care of your family and all of your friends, especially the strong ones, because sometimes they are the ones that need it the most. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great time. Be sure to share, like, subscribe on YouTube. All the above, basically. And this is Dominique. This has been the Dom Trap. Have a great one.